Hi friends, welcome to Coffee, Love, and Books. Today I'm doing my July wrap-up and I'm so excited to talk about these books because I had such a feel-good month and I cannot wait to share all the amazingness that this month provided with all of you. So, starting off with the books I didn't finish, and this month that just meant I got like 20 pages into them or maybe read a few pages, but Little House on the Prairie, I wanted to tackle this because my neighbor was reading it to her son and I just really loved this book or these books, this show when I was little, and oh my gosh, I tried and it was enjoyable, but I just felt other things calling my attention more, so I think I'm gonna save this for later on and just, read it again then, because as amazing and easy to breeze through as this was, I already have such a grip on the story that it wasn't pulling my attention as much as Phantom or Mansfield Park or other classics that I am more interested in at this time. So I'm definitely saving Little House for later on, especially since I've already read multiple books in the series. Okay, so the next one is Mansfield Park. I read barely any of this month, mostly because I was reading Phantom and I wanted to focus on that classic at that point, but I'm giving my full focus to this book this month, and I just love it so far. It's so charming and beautiful, and I can't wait to be swept up in this world. I've heard it doesn't need this many pages for the story it tells, and that's something I've found a little hard for me. I love the charming writing style of Jane Austen, but she tends to talk about the randomest things that aren't really consequential to the story, but I mean, I still love her, so. But I'm excited to give my full attention to Mansfield Park. It's a story about a girl named Fanny who is taken in by her rich relatives. She comes from a poor family and her relatives just don't treat her well. And it's a romance with her cousin, I believe. And I'm just excited to see what all this is about, how it's gonna play out. I've loved the introduction. It has such a playful, satirical air, and I'm just excited to jump into the rest. Alright, next one, Enemies in Love, the love story of a black nurse and a German prisoner of war in World War II. I've already talked about this multiple times, but the author tends to ramble about things that just aren't important to the story at all. And it's because she's a journalist, that's how she writes. It's supposed to be more of a research book, but I have liked this story and I want to see it play out, so I'm gonna mostly read through the rest of this book. I don't care much about the random facts, so I'm gonna just try to enjoy this reading experience and not feel like I'm getting caught up in all these details that are really unimportant. So I do plan on finishing this. I've enjoyed mostly what I've read so far, and I just really like these characters. They're so strong. Eleanor's mom is such a strong woman and she's very tough, and seeing Eleanor just becoming something that she's not supposed to be because she's a woman, because she's black, and rising up, getting a great education, and rising above what her society is telling her is really powerful, and I cannot wait to see what she does with her life. Okay, and now into the books. I finished. Okay, I'm gonna get excited in this part. Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. Apart from teaching me a lot of French and having to pronounce all these French names, I was reading this out loud to my neighbor and sisters, and it is so good. I had so much fun reading it out loud. Eventually, towards the end of the month, I was going so slowly at it that I just listened to the audiobook for the rest of the time, and this story is so amazing. I just am so in love with all of the quirky characters. It felt very almost Jane Austen-y with her characters, and just that playful, also very gothic feel to it. It was incredible. It was so engaging, and I just enjoyed this classic so much. I would compare it to Frankenstein and The Picture of Dorian Gray, both very gothic feeling books. It was so easy to read. I cannot stress that enough. And if you don't know what Phantom of the Opera is about a woman, or girl, actually she's a teenager, like 17 years old, named Christine Daae, who has recently lost her father, who was a famous violinist. She is a dancer at the opera, but she also is taught to sing by this mysterious voice. There is a ghost in this opera, and everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. In walks Raoul, who is in love with Christine, and he is just bound and determined to overcome this ghost to get Christine for himself, that kind of thing. And you'll get to see how the rest of it plays out. It's wonderful. I love the characters. Raoul is I love him so much, but he is such a brat sometimes in this book, and that's because he's a 20-year-old. Christine is 17. They are so young, and they're dealing with this ghost who is claiming Christine for himself, and I love it so much. If you haven't seen the musical, watch it. It's amazing. And I just really loved this book. It was such a breeze to go through, and it taught me a good amount of French. So, yes. All right. All the Boys I Loved Before is a modern day romance, which I don't normally read, but I watched the movie for this and I loved it. The movie was so much better. Like, most rom-coms suck. This one didn't. It was really good. Her relationship with her sisters is what really gets me. She loves them so much, and they take care of each other, and they're so loyal to each other even though they fight. The character herself is quirky and different, and she feels things unlike most female protagonists in movies. She has a personality, and I love her so much. I knew I would love her by the movie because she is such a different character than we're used to seeing in this genre. But I loved her. I didn't like the main love interest. I wish she had ended up with another person because I think they had way better chemistry. But I, all in all, loved this book. If you don't know what To All the Boys is about, it's about a girl named Lara Jean who writes love letters to the guys she has a crush on. She saves them all, addresses them for some stupid reason. Like, this girl supposedly has sisters, and no. But she addresses them all one day. They mysteriously get sent out, and she has to deal with that. One of the letters was sent to her sister's ex-boyfriend, and who she currently still likes. And so she starts a fake relationship with another guy that the letter got sent to. And it was a blast. I didn't love the main plot very much, but I loved the characters and just the way this played out. And I would totally recommend it for any teenage girl or otherwise. Maybe, I don't think I would recommend this for a guy, but for any girls watching, I really enjoyed this one. It was such a blast, and it was awesome. All right, the Mistborn trilogy. I read most of the first book in June, and I read the rest of it early July. Then I read the last two in July. It was so good. It was so different from what I'm used to from fantasy. I've read a lot of middle grade, younger fantasy, the Harry Potter series, Pride and Chronicles, Narnia, all these Lord of the Rings, all these younger, more mild fantasies, not Lord of the Rings, but it is more mild than this. This was my first taste of adult fantasy, modern adult fantasy, and oh my gosh, it broke my heart into tiny smithereens. I've been thinking about this series for the longest time. I filmed a whole review on as to why you should read this series. I think it's amazing, and if you like fantasy, if you want to read adult fantasy, this is the perfect series to take you into that. Man, this author did not hold back. It got so escalated at the end. I'm not going to spoil anything because this series really deserves to tell its story by itself without me summarizing it, but the basic premise of the Mistborn trilogy is this is it's a dying world. There is a cruel emperor, who is basically God. He has all these amazing powers in allomancy, which is the magic system, using metals which you burn to gain powers. Not many people have these powers. It's pretty rare, but children who are half hybrids from, or like descended from nobles, are able to have powers. So you have the noble class who are so oppressive, as well as Lord Tyrant, to the Ska, which are like the peasants. The Ska are extremely oppressed by the nobility. Half-breeds are not supposed to exist, but they do, and Vin is taken into a crew with a leader named Kelsier to try and overthrow the Lord Ruler. And that's the basic premise of the story. It's pretty cliche at first, and then it just spirals into craziness and amazingness and heartbreak, and I would totally recommend this for anyone who enjoys intensity in their media. I just loved this series so much. It made me love all the characters, the world. It wasn't perfect. It was hard to read at times, but I just cannot say enough good things about this. If you are interested, go watch my review. It should be up either this week or next week. And I would totally suggest this series for anyone who enjoys it. Alright, enjoys high fantasy. That is it for my July wrap up. I had such a fun month, and just getting to go with the flow and what I enjoyed reading, what I wanted to read was amazing, and getting to do it kind of this month too has been awesome. I loved most of these books so much. I would totally recommend them to anyone who's interested. And please leave in the comment section down below if you have read these, what you think about them. Just have a lovely day and week, and I will see you Saturday. Keep reading. Bye.